my biggest thing since you won the championship and leading up to that moment is TV and everything say the Lawrence brothers, the Lawrence family, blah, blah, blah. But you and Jet are so different in your paths to success. And I feel like your path gets ignored a little bit because of that, but it's the most incredible story that would have destroyed and has destroyed a lot of riders before. Do you ever feel like that kind of gets lost a little bit, forgotten?
It depends how you look at it. You know, if I was trying to sell that, I don't think it would, but at the same time, you know, we've told it before in the past, and then you move on. You know, we're not trying to make a career out of, oh, poor me, you know, like you can't really do that. So I think I know it's in the past. The people that have been following for a while, they know, and then the people that have that might be interested in me or whatever can look into it. You know, they can look into it and stuff. Some people care, some people don't. It's just it's on the fan or the viewer's point of view, I think.
Yeah, because like I feel like sometimes they mention your injuries, but it's more than that even. It's slow bikes, it's being screwed, it's like there is, honestly, the amount you've packed into really a short career so far is shocking. And it's now you've put a nice bow on it. Yeah,
no, for sure. I always tell people, I feel like I'm only 23 and I feel like I've lived more life than people that are 60 years old, you know, which I kind of think I'm fortunate for, because it's like, it makes me better as a person, it makes me better in my sport, in aspects of life and stuff like that. And I don't know, it doesn't matter that it's not being talked about, because, you know, at the end of the day, everyone's path is different. Everyone faces their own challenges, everyone's dealing with their own stuff, you know, so it's just life. It's just life, you know.
That must be like a massive part of what made you so good this year. Like I'm guessing even daily you draw on that experience and those harsh lessons that you learned to make you as good as you are now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely makes you appreciate what you have now, because it's like we're still hungry for so much more, but it definitely makes it all feel worth it, you know. I think this year the biggest thing is just having this is, you know, coming into my third year of being fit and healthy. You know, looking back on 21 and 22, I've lined up at every race and, you know, being fit and healthy. And now it's just a compounding work. That's all it is, you know, 2 years of compounding work coming into this year, and then it all just, the perfect storm, you know, put the pieces together, and it's been cool. It's only the start of the year, but we're looking for a good year.
And last thing, everyone talks about how dominant you've been. How could you have been even better this year? Like, is there something that sticks out in your mind that could have been improved, or is that literally just not possible?
No, absolutely. I mean, I could have whole shot the last two main events at Dallas and won that. You know, I won the first moto, good start, won that Triple Crown first moto, second one. Didn't whole shot, ended up in the chaos and got taken down as a result of that. And then the third one, just first turn antics, and it is what it is. I look back at New York, we lucked into third, I'll say that, with RJ's move, power slide, and I got him and Max on the last lap. So that was pure luck. I was happy at fifth. Hey, championship's more or less pretty much wrapped up. So there's nothing I would change about that race, because, hey, look back to GP days, there's been plenty of mud races where I've been the fastest guy on track by far, but I've hit the ground. And as soon as you hit the ground in a mud race, your goggles are whack, your gloves are wet, so it's like I was happy with where I was at. So that's about the only thing I'd change on this season is the Dallas round.
First of all, a question I've asked everyone. Based on your own expectations, your own judgment of yourself, what grade would you give yourself for the entire season?
Shoot, probably an A+, because my expectations were nothing near what I got this year or in the Supercross season. So I'm glad I got past those expectations. And I'd have to give it an A+, and I've definitely surprised myself with some things. I
guess that's the hardest thing, because you came into round one with such low expectations.
Yeah.
And then after 2 rounds, maybe even 1 round, that changed, but you can never forget where you came from. But that must have been hard.
Yeah, definitely. After coming in round one, it was like the same thing as usual. I would say, top 10. Let's just get in the top 10 like that, and then I got a 4th. So that kind of like right there just kind of blew my expectations. And then it was like, all right, this is a good spot. And then the next thing was a podium, but we were never like, oh, coming to this round, oh, I want a podium. That wasn't the thought. And then I got a podium, so that blew the expectations again. I got past that. So I just continue to progress pretty good, and still progressing well, learning.
how much like emphasis are you putting on tomorrow night? Obviously, outdoors is coming. There's a lot of opportunity there, but also second in the championship, there's a possibility here, and obviously a first win would be nice. So are you all in for this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. Every race I'm all in. It's kind of how I roll, you know. Definitely put my heart into each race. So yeah, it's definitely going to be no easy race tomorrow. We got east-west connected, so it's definitely the way you could win this race is getting a whole shot, and definitely. So I definitely have to focus towards that. And not saying I'm going to go out there and win, but you know, of course, a win is definitely one more thing you could check off the list. Wasn't on the goals, but I mean, it's another thing to check off the list if you want to get this season. But again, I'm happy with podium too, you know, and even a top 5. Just a lot of stacked riders, and just to go out there, be smooth, and get through this whole season would be big for my rookie year. And then try to get into outdoors and go show some people what's up in outdoors.
Last thing, I've asked this question as well to Eli, Chase, everyone. What do you think your biggest strength is as a rider and your biggest weakness? Whether that's technique, mental stuff, anything. Just what springs to mind?
I think my biggest strength is I'm able to like learn quick. Like if I see something, I'm able to adapt to it quick, and that's kind of been a thing for me growing up. Is if I had a bad habit, they want me to try something new, I was able to adapt quick. Like if I see like a rider doing this, I can adapt quick, or a rider hit this rhythm, I can hit it the next lap. Like it's kind of hard for a lot of people to adapt to things like that. And then yeah, weakness, I'd say, I don't know. I really don't know, honestly. I try to stay pretty positive, so I mean, my weakness is I think I don't try a lot of things with the bike. That could be a thing, maybe we could, but my bike's always 100% solid, so I just leave it always the same. And I definitely think maybe if I went and explored more, there's some more things I could learn about the bike, but I'd say that's the weakness, is just I need to explore a little more on the bike.
Do the team say to you like, oh, let's try this, and you're like, no, I'm good. Like I like what I've got.
No, yeah, exactly. That's how it is. I never really asked to try anything, so then the team comes to me and like, yo, we want to try this, and I'm like, I mean, I'm good where I'm at, but I'm gonna try it, and I usually end up liking it. So that's a good part, is I can get used to things quick.
First of all, you were just saying something very interesting. Obviously, Salt Lake is typically a dry race. It was especially dry for press day today because they haven't prepped it as if they would for a race. And you said that it reminded you of French GP tracks. So explain that.
Yeah, first thing I thought when I went out there, I thought, oh, Vial might like this track. A lot of the turns were little dusty berms. I felt like I was at St. John, you know, back in the day. So it was very, today in particular was dry, dusty, hard pack, slick, a bit awkward. The rhythms were all pretty basic. It's all about turning, like getting your turn set up. Usually I don't like those European hard pack tracks. I always feel like I'm not one of the fastest around there. I've got, yeah, I won't mention the names. I'm normally like, yeah, banging around and bang my head against the wall trying to go fast. But today I was like, oh, I feel pretty good against these boys on these kind of slick conditions. So we'll see. The team have done a good job with the bike. It's definitely a lot slower. This was our first experience of this at altitude. It's the first time I've ridden at altitude since Leon, Mexico 2016 on a 250. This is the first time at altitude on a 250 since then. I mean, I raced this race in 2021 on a 450, and the bike felt like it was a 150 back then. So it's definitely a little weird. But overall, I enjoyed it. I tested a few things. Marty done well. I'm hoping that it's going to be tackier tomorrow, but I'm waffling too much, he says. But hopefully it's going to be tackier tomorrow, and we'll be all right.
I want you to be honest with yourself now. It doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what Dean thinks. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks. Based on your own expectations, what grade would you give yourself for your season? Be honest with yourself.
A+.
Okay. I should have expected that coming from you.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, it's great. It's been mega. But again, it's not. If I'm, you know, I feel like my whole crew have done a good job. Of course, we're in a really good spot. I feel like I've got the full experience of 250 racing. It's been a long time. I feel like something for me I wanted to build on was consistency. I've been very consistent. I had that one race where I crashed in Detroit with matey in mid-pack, first lap, and I thought, God, that's 250 Supercross. That's literally when I watch Supercross, I think, oh, a lot of sketchy stuff goes on. So, no, I think I think I've executed well this year. I'm happy with my performance. Of course, I've learnt a lot, taken a lot in. I've won a qualifying session, which I've never done that before. That was first round. I've won a main event, got second and got third, and all right, the heat races, maybe you can argue, but I don't get paid for heat races, so I'm not really that bothered about heat races. Not really that bothered about time training either. I show up at 9:30 or 9 o'clock whenever the main event goes out. I feel like I've done well with the team, learnt a lot, and can take all of this knowledge into the next season. You know, the bike's staying the same. It's not like Honda are coming out with a new bike for next year. So for me, I've got my notes, and I really want to go and see if I can be even better next year. And even like, okay, maybe I'm waffling on a bit too much now, but even like at MTF, they've built me Dragon's backs and whoops, and even I knew there wasn't going to be any Dragon's backs here, but that's something that I felt I was weaker on this season. So I've been like flat out the last couple of weeks, whilst most of the guys have been doing outdoors, working on my Dragon's back and suspension and this and that. And I know it's not going to make any difference for here, but hopefully I can continue that progress on and for next season.
Kind of a hard question, but just be true to yourself. What grade would you give yourself for your season as a whole? Looking back, highs, lows, based on your own expectations?
Yeah, it's hard to say. With a win tomorrow, maybe a A-, B+, maybe. Without it, maybe like a B-, somewhere in there. I definitely wanted to be more consistent, just had a few bad races, and but overall, like my riding, I'm really happy with. You know, I'm really happy with the bike, and how things went is just like a couple of things happened that I wish wouldn't happen, pretty much.
Is that something that you had kind of like pegged down at the start of the season, like one win, just get that one breakthrough moment, or
No.
has that expectation come after seeing how much potential you have on this bike and with this team?
Yeah, I think it came like with after like, I mean, really like the first 2 rounds or so, like I really felt like I had the speed, and like my speed was probably better than like I felt like it's ever been, like in qualifying and that kind of stuff. And so I was really happy with that. And like after the second round, like I had a DNF there, and like the championship wasn't like completely over, but it was pretty much over at that point. So like at that point, it was like the goal was to get a win, and then like I still have that goal, and like I've gotten close. I led half the main last week in Nashville, but yeah, I mean, to try and get a win tomorrow would be good.
Does that mean that you actually surprised yourself this year? Like you didn't know how this was going to go. This was just as much of a mystery to you as it was others.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I surprised myself. Like this is where I expected myself to be. Like I know that I have the skills to be able to do it. It's just that like whenever you've been like away from the podium for so many years and so many injuries, you do start to have doubt, and like you're not sure where you're going to fall in, you know? So, but I knew that on this bike and with this team and the program and everything, like I was going to be up there. So I wouldn't necessarily say like I surprised myself, like this is where I expected to be, but I am happy with how most of the races have went, for sure.
How good does it feel right now to actually have momentum, confidence, and everything that comes with that? Because that's been missing for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the bike for pretty much like since I started training for Supercross last year on the Honda. Like I've been on the bike pretty much that whole time, and I trained outdoors with these guys last year, and like all the way through, and like just having that seat time is so crucial. Like, I mean, you can't race these guys with no seat time and being hurt and stuff. So yeah, it's good to have some momentum and coming into the last round and try and get ready for outdoors. And I haven't raced outdoors since 2019. I think I did 2 rounds. So I'm excited for that. I think that's going to help even in Supercross, like with the ruts and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited, and excited just to keep building. It's just a little bit at a time, but we're getting there.
Question I'm asking everyone today, being honest with yourself, completely truthful, and based on your own expectations alone, what grade would you give yourself for this Supercross season?
B+, a B+. I came in, I knew I made a jump this year compared to last year, and I feel like I've done that. I've definitely had some good races, but I never reached like what I fully wanted to do. My goal was to make the jump, be a 7 to 10 guy this year. I've definitely done that every race. But I really wanted to contend for a top 5, and I didn't do that. So B+.
So does that mean that actually you came into the season with certain expectations and they changed after 2-3 rounds?
They did kind of, like, to be honest, I kind of surprised myself a little bit. I think I was almost a little bit better than what I thought I was going to be. So, I mean, that's a positive, right? Like, my racing was really good. I wanted to make a jump in qualifying this year, did that. But my starts have just they've kind of hindered me all season. So this weekend we'll be in first gear and we're ready to let this thing buck.
I feel like starts are always going to be a problem for you 250 wise, because
Yeah.
you've got to be one of the biggest guys out there.
Yeah, exactly. That part's definitely tough. I'm like 40 pounds heavier than some of the guys, so definitely hurt myself a little bit there. But then also being tall kind of helps me in some places.
Do you like find yourself searching hard for ways to improve the starts and almost getting lost sometimes?
Dude, yeah, for sure, because at the beginning of the year I actually was doing a lot of testing on start maps, got to a start map that I liked, and then now I'm not even on the start map. Like, it's just full circle. Like, I'm for sure got lost a little bit, but I think it just comes down to me. I just need to be better on the starts.
And last thing, and you can answer this however you want, what is your plan after this weekend?
Yeah, plans change, obviously. Thought I was going to be racing full outdoors, but unfortunately just won't be doing that. But my plan is to go World Supercross racing, so I'm really stoked about that. Grateful for the opportunity that I have ahead of myself, and, you know, obviously it wasn't the original plan, but I'm going to make the most of any opportunity I get, so I'm really looking forward to it.
You've got to be shooting for podiums in World Supercross, right?
For sure, yeah. I definitely want to get in the top 5 there, so yeah, I just want to keep progressing, and I want to make that. Obviously, this next jump that I'm looking for is kind of big, you know, to get into that top 5 consistently. So I think racing more Supercross is obviously going to help me with that. And yeah, for sure, I want to do some big things in World Supercross.